Myoho Renge Kyo. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Hello, good friends. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. Today's word is omniscience. I remember learning that word as a child. And, I was, most of you may know, but those of you may not. I'm French Canadian. I was raised in Montreal suburbs. Montreal is a very old city, 3 to 4 times older than the United States. And the settlers that came to that area, first it was called, not Quebec, but that's the Indian name for it, but it was called, Native people's name for it. But it was called Nouvelle France, or New France, right? A lot of people were sick of the battles between the English and the French, mainly over religion. Go figure. And so they settled a new area, going to settle it as newfound France. And with that came their Catholicism. And there's a joke about Montreal that if you go through a neighborhood, every other corner in the neighborhood is either chapel or steeple or a little playground park. That's kind of an inside joke with the Catholics being big on breeding. Not just the play parks for the kids, but obviously the propagation of their propaganda, yeah. Anyway, got off on a tangent there. But I remember in that context, learning the word omniscience as I was learning English, seemed to be imbued with this kind of little otherness, this great godlike knowledge. Well, of course, you grow up around Catholics, everything's godlike, But I think in whatever way that was inculcated into me, a lot of people feel that way about the word omniscience, right? We call Superman, we don't call him omniscient man. That would seem to be something even beyond the capacities of Superman, right? Actually, a Superman is just a man beyond ordinary man, whereas an omniscient man, whoa, that's something unknowable, yeah? Well, why all this talk? Omniscience is often used by translators of Buddhist texts, trying to find a word like that has that kind of charisma to it, in order to embody or capture the sense of the Dharma, Shakyamuni's teaching, especially as somebody who grows up in cultures, religious cultures, right? Who hasn't, the world over, and who may become very erudite and educated and takes on the translation of these historical Buddhist documents and looks for a word that to that translator seems to mirror this potential that Shakyamuni is talking about and other scholars talking about. Seems like he's talking about omniscience. Well, because to that person, that's the only way they can conceive of what Shakyamuni is talking about. But We really need to correct that. And in my entry in the Buddhism reference book, I'll give you an example of a website that gives a definition, and they resort to God, right? So here's a Nietzschean quote that I think relates perfectly. We'll bring this right back down to earth. And you've probably heard this one, but if not, let me remind you. A mind now clouded by the illusions of the innate darkness of life, in other words, our samsaric mind in the Saha world, is like a tarnished mirror. Sound familiar? But when polished, it is sure to become like a clear mirror, reflecting the essential nature of all phenomena and the true aspect of reality, moment to moment to moment to moment to moment, right? Arouse deep confidence, he says, and resolve, and diligently polish your mirror day and night. How should you polish it, you ask? Only by chanting Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Nichiren. So, in the translators version, how should you reach omniscience? Chant. That's exactly what he's saying. Because we're not really talking about some unknowable. We're talking about, even, let's stay with that rhetoric, even if we say it's unknowable, it's only unknowable to the samsaric mind. When our mind is completely immersed in craving and clinging, right? Clinging to the past, craving something made up in the future. We forget all about the momentum that we're living in each moment. That's where life is happening. So for that samsarically clouded, tarnished mirror, we don't see what's actually happening. By opening the Gohonzon window into our Buddha mind, our Buddha perception, our Buddha experience of actual life, that tarnished mirror is gone. It's out of the way. We see absolute clarity. So, omniscience. What did I put in here? This term has been around for millennia. The quotation below will illustrate and identify the etymology of the word. If it is at all useful to use this charismatic term in our modern study of Buddhism, I would rather suggest the word Buddhaness or awakening, much more knowable to our mind, right? Both are more knowable as personal capabilities of our sentient mind, rather than the implied deification of self that the word omniscience or omniscient have. Yeah? This mysticism, we don't need it. It's in the way. And this is from the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy. This is quite a notable resource. So this is what the Encyclopedia of Philosophy has to say. Omniscience is an attribute having to do with knowledge. It is the attribute of, quote, having knowledge of everything, end quote. Many philosophers consider omniscience to be an attribute possessed only by a divine being. There it is. Such as a god of Western monotheism. However, the Eastern philosophers of Jainism allow omniscience to be an attribute of some human beings. Why Jainism? But what exactly is it to be omniscient? The term's root Latin words are omni, all, and scientia, knowledge. And these suggest a rough layman's definition of omniscience as knowledge of everything. Yet, even though this definition may be somewhat useful, there are a number of questions which the definition alone does not address. First, there is the general question of what exactly our human knowledge is and whether or not an understanding of human knowledge can be applied to God. For example, does God have beliefs? And what kind of evidence does God need for these beliefs to count as knowledge? There is also the question of what exactly this everything in the definition is supposed to mean. Does God know everything, which is actual, but not all that is possible? See, Buddha-ness goes well beyond that, doesn't it? Because it is about possibility. It's potential preforms possibilities, right? Possibilities is somewhere in the formations. Potential is ahead of that, quiescent energy. Through formations enters the realm of form, where it is knowable. Does God know the future? And if so, how exactly? This last question is a perennial difficulty and will require a thorough investigation. Oh, yeah, because it's bullcrap. You can't know the future. You can only look at it as it's manifesting now. Moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. Look up the word moment. You will be stunned. Next up, opening of the eye. How interesting. So, omniscience. Do you want it? Crave it? If you want to know with clarity how life works, what it is to live fully to your maximal potential, there is no other time to do it. There is no preparation. There is simply doing it. In my video, Presence at the Butsudan, I give you some tools for getting your mind into a preparation of sorts. But until you chant, it ain't happening. Until you open your Buddha eye, which we'll talk about in the next installment, you don't see. Right? Thank you for listening. Thank you for your practice. Support our effort here, the Sangha, this resource, in any way that you can, right? From liking and subscribing to donations to buying books, so on and so forth. Patrons on PayPal and Patreon, thank you so much. You're invaluable to this effort. We're not monetized. I just don't want the interruption of commercials. If you're having any troubles with that, by the way, let me know, because I will let YouTube know what I think. But thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your practice. And in that regard, please take care of your health. Savor your practice. Have a video on that too. Right? Keep it strong. Namo